Hi there, my name's Kate Marie Davis. I'm an actress from Bristol in England, and Sadie Maloney has very kindly sent me a couple of questions regarding my career, and it's going to be my pleasure to answer them for you. How did you get into acting, and had you always wanted to be an actress? I got into acting when I was about 18 years old. I had actually been studying other things. I had no real desire to be an actor at the time. It wasn't that I didn't want to do it, it's just that it wasn't really what was driving me at the time. What I actually wanted to be was a cartoonist. So I was studying art and design and graphics and English, and I got into a production of West Side Story. It was just a college production, and I got a really cool part in it. I don't know if you know West Side Story, but I played the character of Anita, and she's a real fiery lady, really cool character. And I got tremendous feedback from that experience. A lot of people were sort of saying that I should do a bit more performing, because that role actually had me doing singing, dancing and acting. And I went to see a careers advisor, and the careers advisor had actually seen me in the production, and she suggested that I pursue acting a bit more before I made any other decisions about what I wanted to do with my life. So yeah, and that's what happened. Another major pull to become an actor for me around that time of my life was actually as well because I didn't always have the most self-confidence when I was younger, and as you can see I'm quite a confident so-and-so right now, but it actually came that acting and being an actor and being involved in theatre and being involved in film actually helped with my self-confidence and actually helped me battle any of the kind of feelings left over from being bullied when I was a bit younger. So that's why I adore the industry. I think it helps a lot of people with their self-confidence, and it's also why I absolutely despise bullies. You starred in Dead Man Apocalypse, Beautiful People, Apparition of Evil, upcoming horror Escape from Cannibal Farm. Did you initially want to be a horror actress? Not really. I mean, I love horror. I've always loved horror since I was a child. I grew up watching things like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween. So it's something that I enjoy to watch, but I didn't sort of set out to be a horror actress. I'm trying to think how it started. I think with independent film, people make a lot of horror because horror is one of the more convenient things to shoot when you're an independent filmmaker. It's at the lower budget range generally, depending on the production, I guess. And so it's just something I kind of fell into, and it just sort of went from one extreme to the other. I'd make a horror film, and then someone would see some photos or clips of me in a horror film, and they'd ask if I'd like to read for a character in their horror film. And yeah, so it just kind of had a bit of a snowball effect, really. But I wouldn't say that I only make horror. It sometimes looks that way, but I can't always promote some of the other productions that I've done if they've not given me the material to do so. But in fact, today I've just been filming a romantic comedy, which was a lot of fun. That's called I Am the Prize. That will be out in 2017. And I also do a lot of sci-fi, and I love drama. I mean, I love gritty roles. I don't go into a horror and think, oh, all I've got to do is run away and scream and everything. I like to have characters that are interesting. So usually, particularly with Cannibal Farm, Escape from Cannibal Farm, when you come to watch it, you'll see actually the first hour or so is more like a drama or a thriller, more so than horror. It's only sort of at a certain point that it all kicks off and turns into an all-out gore fest. But yeah, I like to play around with different genres. Let's see. What has been your favourite character to play in your career so far? I've enjoyed lots of roles, really. I've been incredibly lucky with the roles that I've played. It's a real honour when, as an actor, someone writes a character for you, which I've been lucky enough to happen for me a few times now. One in particular is a character that I play in the sci-fi series Horizon. She's called Nicole, and I like her because there's a bit of a character arc with her. When people first watch the show, they won't like Nicole at all. She's not a very nice person, and she seems very self-centered, and yeah, she's not the most popular person, but the more, because it's a series, I got to do lots of different episodes playing her, and the more time goes on, she shows that she has certain aspects that make her a bit more interesting. She's actually quite vulnerable, she's quite lonely, she's quite protective. In fact, she's very protective. And these kind of things start to shine through and actually show her off as being a much nicer person than you first think when you meet her. So that makes her really interesting for me to play. Another character would be the character I actually play in Escape from Cannibal Farm, Jessica Harver. What I really enjoyed about playing Jessica, who was also written for me, is because she covers lots of bases that for me to do as an actor. So she starts off as a bit of a girl next door. I get to play the victim role. So these are quite cool things to challenge you as an actor. And then she needs to kind of toughen up a little bit in order to escape. Or does she escape? You have to wait and see. But then she gets a lot stronger. And then there are other sides to her, which I probably won't say too much about because I really don't want to ruin it for anyone who does watch the show. But she was a really three-dimensional character. There was a big character arc. There was lots for me to do. And I just really enjoyed playing that role. Again, she's quite protective and strong. And these are very much the kind of characters that I really enjoy playing. We're very excited to see your upcoming horror film, Escape from Cannibal Farm. It looks mental and super gory. Can you tell us a bit more about the film and your character? Okay, so just to explain the character of Jess, but the film itself is actually about the Harver... Well, it's not just about the Harver family. The Harver family are going on a kind of family bonding holiday. There's a lot of aggro between them. You can sort of see that there's a lot of damage going on in this family, and they're trying to kind of get things sorted by taking this little retreat out to the countryside in their camper van. And as you can probably imagine, in the fact that it's a horror film, when they get there, things aren't what they seem. Things start to go bad. And they seek refuge at this farm, and that's when they meet the cannibals. There is a lot more to it than that, but do you know what? It wouldn't be fair for me to give too many details because yeah, it's not mine to give away at the moment. But I think people would be quite surprised. I think when you see the trailer, you make a certain assumption about what the film's like, and I think when you watch it, you might be surprised. But all I can say, I guess, is that although as the kind of protagonists, as the goodies, the Harver family, you'll care hopefully about our dynamic and about what our story is. But when you do watch it, there will be many other characters who you take more of an interest in, and you kind of question why they are the way they are. And yeah, there's it's not just horror, you know. There's drama in there. There's stuff that might make people think quite a bit as well. So let's see. How do you prepare yourself mentally and physically for these roles? Well, physically, I'm a fitness instructor as well as an actor. So if I have a role where I have to do a lot of running around, or I want to look quite strong, you know, if I've got to run around with weapons and things, I want to look like somebody who can handle weapons. So I do a lot of circuit training. I do a lot of weightlifting, and I eat clean. I eat well, you know. I try to do all the things for my body in order to keep healthy, and also try and look my best when I'm on camera. Mentally, I don't need to do lots of preparation. I have certain acting techniques that I do if I need to go down a certain road. But essentially, if a script is written well enough, you really don't have to overthink it. It tells the story, and if you care about the story that you're telling and the character that you're playing, you kind of can go there emotionally anyway. There are loads and loads of different ways for actors to do these things, but I don't need to go to too much of a dark place. There was probably one scene in Escape from Cannibal Farm where I wanted to be quite withdrawn and disturbed. So that was the one time in the film where I thought, you know what, I'm not going to mess around and make jokes and sing songs, which is what we were doing between takes on a lot of them, just to keep the spirits high and the energy levels high. But in this particular scene, I kind of chose to not talk to any of the other cast or crew for about an hour or so around the time of that shoot, because I wanted to feel a bit isolated and a bit off key. So that would be one of the techniques that I did. Apart from Escape from Cannibal Farm, have you got any more horror projects coming up? I do. I have some that are already released. I'm trying to think what else is coming out next year. I have one called The District Nurse, which should be coming out at some point. I shot that back in 2012, so I'm still waiting for that one to come out. That's indie film for you. I do have a big horror film coming out, or that I will be working on soon, but I am not allowed to say at the moment. But rest assured, you'll find out. I'll make sure. Apart from the characters you've played in horror, if you could have played any role, past or present, what would it have been? I love these questions, and I always say the same things, and I'm always happy to say the same things. I adore strong female, iconic characters and role models. So one of my all-time favourites is Lara Croft. Another would be Ellen Ripley from Alien, Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. And I like Clarice Starling from The Silence of the Lambs. Basically, I like women who are strong because they're put in situations where they choose to fight, and they're all protectors. You know, they're very often maternally protective. They'll look after a child or they'll look after a sibling. These are the kind of characters I really enjoy. I would also love to have played a Resident Evil character as well. I'd love to play Jill Valentine or Claire Redfield, because I'm a gamer too, so those would have been cool. And I really haven't seen the film The Girl with All the Gifts yet, but I love Gemma Arterton, and I can already tell by looking at the trailer that that character and her is something that I would like to have done. Oh, and of course there's Rogue One as well. I would love to have been in that. Yeah, I just love these kind of kick-ass female action babes. Right. Apart from the characters, oh no, we've read that one. What's your favourite scary movie? My favourite scary movie, coincidentally, one of them is Scream. The first Scream, I remember going to the cinema to see that when I was a teenager, and I loved that. I don't think it's particularly scary, I just absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of the actors in that show. I love the Final Destination movies. One of my all-time favourites actually is The Descent. And Halloween, of course. I love all. I love a lot. In fact, I watched one called Hush recently on Netflix. I thought it was excellent. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But I prefer the kind of more psychological thrillers and all the kind of crazy knife wielding killer. I prefer all that to paranormal stuff. I'm not a big fan of paranormal films, so. Thank you very much for asking the questions. I hope that I've made my answers relatively clear for you. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.